Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for another edition of YBMcast. Today, we have a special presentation. Our GAC high school preview starts off with a GAC North School, Orchard Farm, and Coach Phil Kendal. Coach Kendal, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to be here.
I appreciate you taking time. This is great, because last year we had Quiet Schools. We've only had Coach Allen from the over at St. Charles West out of the North, and this year we've got Coach Kendal, and I'm hoping to get we'll have Coach Allen back, but we're also going to get Coach Bishel from St. Charles. And hoping to get the North Point coach, everybody on here talking about the GAC North, which I think is a lot of fun. Warrenton, Winfield, Orchard Farm, St. Charles West, now North Point. It's a good conference, isn't it, Coach?
It is. It's always a tight race every year in the conference for the conference championship, and a lot of good rivalries amongst the schools, a lot of healthy rivalries. It's a fun conference.
And, you guys got it was a good ball game. St. Charles West got you in a walk-off last year in the districts, correct?
Well, we fought back. We gave up 3 or 4 unearned runs in the third inning to go from a 2-run lead to being down, I think 4 or 5-2. I can't remember exactly, but one of our players hit a 2-run homer in the top of the 7th to pull within 7-5, and we got a couple runners on base, and we just couldn't get them in.
Okay, all right. I knew it was I knew it did come down right to the end there, so I didn't know but thanks for filling us in. So it was a tight ball game. St. Charles West, that's a good baseball team, isn't it, Coach? He froze. There he is. Did you catch? I said St. Charles West, that's a good baseball team over there too, isn't it?
Yeah, Coach Allen does a great job. They're solid every year. They seem to always keep restocking good pitchers. They'll have a couple good pitchers. I know the Newell kid graduated last year, and they've got a young pitcher that stepped in last year as a freshman and did a heck of a job, and we'll have to deal with him the next 3 years, of course.
You were glad to see Josh go, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. Seemed like a really good kid, but it was time for him to move on.
I understand that. Oh, mercy. So let's get into this a little bit here, Coach. You got how many returning seniors this year?
Okay, we've got 5 returning seniors. 2 of them were starters last year. The other 3 got some spot action in. We have 5 coming back.
Names off the top of your head, I'm sure. Who are those kids that you got coming back?
Andy Trupiano will probably play center field for us. And Garrett Sutton, who will probably play middle infield and pitch for us. Those are the top 2 returners that played the most innings last year.
And looks like Trupiano, 329, 409, 451 slash. He had 16 runs and 17 RBIs. That's some run production right there, Coach.
Yeah, he's a good player. He comes from a long line. He's the 4th of the Trupiano brothers that have gone through here. They've gone through every 2 years this will be the last one. But yes, he's a really good player. He's a gritty kid. He's a leader for us on our team. The rest of the team voted him team MVP last year, so it's nice to be returning your team MVP.
That is nice. Sutton looks like he got 20 innings for you. And you said last year he was a sophomore. Is that correct?
Sutton was a junior. He's a senior as well.
Okay. So you're looking for big things from him on the mound?
We really I think for the ship to sail this year, both those guys are going to have to, step up and do a really good job. Both have the potential to do that. Sutton's a heck of a base runner. I think he had 15 to 20 steals last year. Um, Going into the season, I project him as possibly our leadoff hitter.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Trupiano, most likely, third, fourth in the lineup.
Yeah, I
So,
can
yeah.
see that. So let's talk a little bit about your offense. Players that, you were scoring 5.46 runs a game and 4.88 in conference. So you were getting run production. You were getting the bats. Who are the kids? You have those two guys coming back. Who are the kids you're looking at that, though maybe sophomore, junior, that you're going to need to count on in that lineup, Coach?
It's funny you asked that. This is going into this season. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen. I've got a lot of guys that have potential. They play on club teams or play on Legion teams, or they play a lot of baseball. So I'm hoping that the jump from where they were at the end of last season, where they're at now, is going to be good. Colin Simmons batted 250 for us last year, and he ended the season, I think, in that St. Charles West game, having a triple, a double, and a single. So I'm hoping he can hit that way more often this year. He hit well last year, but he's a junior this year, a little stronger, a little bigger. So I'm hoping we can get a little more power in our lineup. But as far as throwing names out there, as far as returning guys that hit 300 plus or 250 and had 70 at bats, really those two are the only two that had extended amount of bats.
So you've got a lot of question marks you're looking at when you got tryouts coming up. It's really open for you this year, correct?
It really is. And we've got probably 11 or 12 junior and seniors. We've always had a freshman or a sophomore start for us at the start of the season. This year, that's not going to be the case, most likely. Now, who knows? When practice and tryouts start, somebody might emerge, and it might be obvious that I need to use them.
Right.
But going into the season, I really want to try to give our juniors and seniors, because they have really good chemistry. They all get along really well. I want to try to let them gel, and hopefully they can get the job done and be able to play a lot.
Very good. Coach, when we talk about baseball, I'm an old Dodger guy. Tommy Lasorda, pitching and defense and hit a home run, right? So when we talk about defense, and especially at the high school level, this as well as anybody, that's the difference in the game a lot of times. Am I correct?
That is absolutely correct. Pitching is, of all the things that you brought up, the last few years, we always have kids that are very coachable. They're willing to take the ball and get up on the hill and work at pitching. But it's been since 2019 since we really had two really good pitchers. And before that, we've always had at least one that's grown up pitching. That's been one of their main things. The last couple of years, we've been relying more on using position players and trying to train them to pitch the best that they can. So we don't have the shutdown pitcher. We haven't had the shutdown pitchers, although certainly Connor Davenport was a great pitcher last year for us. But the Josh Newell type of pitcher, keep throwing his name out there. So some of our younger guys, they fit that category. I don't think they're there yet, but a lot of several of our freshmen, I think they've grown up on their club teams being primary pitchers. So I'm excited to get them up there. But I'm anxious to see what we're going to get out of our older guys. They're working at it. They're throwing bullpen sessions, but they're not natural pitchers, I wouldn't say.
When you got a guy on the mound that can pitch, is doing his job, you always are looking to build that defense from in the middle out, right? You talked about I think was it Trupiano in center field?
Yeah, it's something.
Who do you see in the middle of your diamond? Is your catcher coming back? Is that guy there? Who you looking at there in the middle of your infield there, Coach?
Well, I'll work my way from the outfield in, since that's where we started. But
sure.
Middle infielders, we have two seniors probably going to start the year. Sutton I'm going into the season thinking him at second base and Colin Miller at shortstop. Colin's played a lot, was a primary JV shortstop the last couple years. As far as catching goes, We have three guys that all three catch for their summer teams and their fall teams. Two of them are returning. Last year it was Colin Simmons and Dylan Rosenberg. Uh, and Clinton Doza is thrown into the mix as well. He couldn't catch last year because he had some heart condition going on and had to take a year off. And he's since, I think he played all summer for his post 312 team and caught for them some. So we got three guys we're going to take a look at. But certainly those guys, when they're not catching, I want to try to find a way to get them in the lineup. I could see Rosenberg playing first base when he's not catching and Simmons playing first base. Both those guys are going to pitch for us as well, so I don't really want them catching the day after they pitch. So first base would be a pretty good position to be able to keep them in the lineup. In Doza, I see our third baseman, Caden Tipton. He'll pitch quite a bit, and so that will open it up for Doza to play some third base.
Do you employ a DH quite a bit, Coach, or are you batting your roster there?
You know, we bat our roster early in the season, and then, you know, I feel like I owe it to kids to give them 12, 15 at bats before I say, hey, we're going to have to DH for you. So that way they feel like they've at least had an opportunity to show what they can do at the plate. But if they're 0 for 15 or 1 for 15 and have had 5 games that they've been in the lineup and they're just look lost at the plate, you know, then we're going to throw somebody that maybe doesn't get to get out on the field but has a better bat. We're going to get them in the lineup hitting for them.
When we're talking about this and you're talking about these kids competing, when you're seeing these kids come out of the clubs and the Legion Ball and the things like that, do you think, as and you made mention, and a smaller school, you guys are class 4, correct?
That's correct.
Do these kids they get kind of thrown in the fire quickly on that competition level, competing for a spot on the team, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Are they?
They grow up playing.
Are they really?
Go ahead.
Do you think a lot of them are prepared for that mentally?
Some. It's hit and miss. You come in as a freshman and you've been playing club ball and you're one of your top players on your club team, and you come in. They're used to the competition. A lot of these kids play on 2 and 3 teams, and they're traveling, and some just play the local baseball. So every so often a kid is suited and he's athletic and he's able to handle that. And then other times they still need another year or two of progression. But the club team, our kids are all over the place with different clubs and
Sure.
This and that. It's not like our 8th grade bunch, which my son's an 8th grader. They've got a whole group of kids that play on a team that are strictly Orchard Farm kids. But the group of freshmen that I have now, I think they played together some in like the spa league or whatever, just as a recreational thing. But then they have their club teams they play on as well.
It's cool though that they played in a league together. It kind of still gets that camaraderie. That's kind of cool. I like that thought process.
No, I do too. We had a parent, and I coach 8th grade basketball as well.
Mm-hmm.
So these boys that are freshmen, a lot of them, I coached in basketball and got to know their parents and stuff. But a couple of parents are really good in that. Are these in this freshman class, and they stepped up and they just they knew they didn't really want to have a club team. Some of them play club, and some of them basketball or soccer is their top sport, but they wanted to play baseball as well. So it's pretty cool that they got into that rec league.
I want to finish up with the pitching here a little bit and dive into a couple things. You mentioned quite a few names and quite a few kids there, and I understand they're going to be moving around, positionally, and because how many kids, just real quick, Coach, do you think you'll roster on your varsity squad?
That's a great question. Starting the season, I'm usually around 13 to 14. Wow. I think we're going to start off probably with that amount again. We have, I went to this system several years ago when it was time for us to be in the rotation to buy uniforms, where we have the same uniforms for JV and varsity. So that way when kids go up and down, it's not a big pain to be able to have them do that with uniforms. I haven't had a year I can remember in the last 15 years where a kid hasn't started on the JV and at some point in the season worked their way up and became a varsity player. I'd say 14 to start the season. JV probably 15 to 17.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you've got probably a total of what, 45, 50, maybe 55 kids in the program from freshman to varsity?
Actually, we don't have a freshman team, so we're usually around 28.
Okay.
But we have a strong freshman class this year, and I'm probably going to keep a few more than what I normally would keep. So, yeah, I'd say more. We're probably going to have about 35, 37 try out and probably keep somewhere around 30.
That's very good. That's a good number if you got just the two squads. And I like, and that's interesting. See, and I think that's to me an interesting thing when you're talking about this type of school. And I don't know, people are used to the bigger schools and talking about the bigger schools. And this is why I love this conversation, because when you're at a class 3, a class 4, even sometimes a class 5, the numbers are just much harder to come by, aren't they?
Yeah, our dynamic is way different. We, and who knows? I don't know what direction the school wants to go. We've got that new high school going up, and like I said, I think I have 15 freshmen trying out. 13 of them I know have played ball and have experience. Same thing goes with the 8th grade. We usually have 6 to 8 try out in a class. Anything above that's usually pretty big for us for baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're getting to where we have 14, 15 kids trying out, and I think that's pretty well stacked all the way down to like 3rd grade. So I don't know if we're going to go that direction like the big schools do with the varsity JV and the C squad, but yeah, it's definitely we're not there yet.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have, though, isn't it, Coach?
Yeah, it sure is. I'm excited. Like I've got about 3 or 4 years left, and my son's coming up, and I know these kids from coaching basketball in 8th grade. And it's really neat. There's a lot of good kids coming up. I'm excited.
That's awesome. I'm going to finish up here real quick and get you out of here. But so you've got your JV squad. How are you continuing to develop the program, develop the kids? You're looking to your JV coaches, your assistant coaches. How do all these guys play into the roles that help you guys continue to work to succeed?
Well, we all work together really well. It's going to be interesting this year. We have a first-year JV coach, Coach Stringer. He coaches our JV basketball team, our boys JV basketball team. He's a good guy, and I'm excited to get to working with him. My other coach is Coach Bill Camp. He's coached along with me for 20-plus years now. We work really well together, so it's always nice going into the season having a guy that I get a coach, which we're basically co-head coaches. We take turns coaching third base, and he takes care of the pitchers. I do more of the defensive stuff. But it's nice going into the year knowing that I know what I have with some good coaches.
That's awesome. It does make it. It's nice working with people you know and you're comfortable with, isn't it? It makes a big impact, and I think that translates to the players. Would you agree?
Huge. Yeah, I agree. They see us working together and not button heads or anything like that, and we're all on the same page, and we're giving each other advice or our input. I always take input. I'm not making the lineup and deciding who's pitching in the big games and doing all that on my own. I make sure I network with our team leaders and with our coaches to make those kind of decisions.
That's interesting. And two, I think, when you're talking about developing players and developing kids and leadership, it is good to see, if the coaches have chemistry and they hear the same language, they hear the same thing from both coaches, that's an impact that I think helps those kids move forward. Agreed?
I agree 100%.
Yeah, I love that stuff. Coach, I know you've got a big year coming up ahead of you. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to have to try and maybe get out and watch a ball game, definitely. And and look forward to seeing you at the ballpark.
Well, again, I appreciate you inviting me to do this and covering our Orchard Farm kids, and I hope we're going to have a fun season regardless, win or lose, but I'm hoping we can really throw a competitive bunch out there, and it'd be great to see you at the ballpark.
Absolutely. Hey, folks, everybody, Coach Phil Kendal, Orchard Farm, excuse me. I added the S. That's bad. Well,
you
Orchard
sure did. I caught that.
That's not good. Orchard Farm Eagles. And so make sure you're check out the ball game if you're watching some baseball. Remember, the GAC is more than just, the Central and the South. There's the North, and there's some really good baseball going on over there. Coach, good luck to you this year. Thanks again for stopping by, man. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Remember, subscribe, like, share, whatever you got to do. We do appreciate it. Have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, keep throwing strikes, and hitters, hit them where they ain't. Right, Coach?
Right on. Couldn't have said it better myself.
We'll see y'all next time.